You're listening to the Listenup Show, Startup Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Mitchell Chadrow, your host. Today on show 042. Today, we're here with Karen Chellew. What are we going to discuss with Karen? What it takes to manage and operate a law firm, the idea, launch, and execution of her startup, Divorce Use Solutions. Lessons learned from running for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, her experience with Diem Space, LLC, the mission and goals behind the nonprofit Sisters U, and her community involvement as an auditor for a local municipality. Please sign up to my email list for the latest special offers exclusive for our Listen Up Show Startup Entrepreneur Podcast audience at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. I have been providing business advice, resources, and help to entrepreneurs for over 20 years, and I'm looking forward to helping all of you. Sign up for my email list, again, at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. I will provide you with full transcript for each interview, my ebook, 30 Tools to Start Up, the Startup Checklist, and many other education and training materials, all back at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. Now enjoy the show. Hey, Karen, it's happy to have you on the show. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mitchell?
I'm doing super. Karen, can you tell us what is the one thing that contributes most to your success?
I think the one thing that drives me is my passion and my tenacity. I have energy enough for about 5 people, for sure.
That's great. Well, I know when we get into the interview, I know how many different things that you're involved with. So you're certainly going to need that type of drive and tenacity and passion to be able to balance everything that you're actually doing.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us what is Divorce Use Solutions? That's one of your startups. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure. Divorce Use Solutions is a company I founded with Catherine Shanahan. She's a CDFA, so she comes at it from a financial perspective. She's also a mediator. I come at it from my experience in the legal field. And our mission is to demystify the divorce process. So you could call us divorce brokers of sorts, but we help women throughout any part of the divorce process. So they come to us, and we find that when someone's going through divorce, the road ahead is so unclear, the emotions are prevalent. So we help break it down for them and make it really clear all of the things they can expect, all of the topics they're going to have to think through, and how the court sees it, so that by the time they get to an attorney, they have a full basic knowledge of the terminology and all that is expected of them as they navigate through the process.
So let me ask you, who actually helped you with the launch and the execution of the startup?
That was just me and Catherine.
Wow. Okay. It might sound obvious, but how did you actually come up with the idea? I mean, maybe we could explore that a little bit.
Sure. Well, we've both been divorced, and myself coming from a legal background and having access to really the best attorneys in the area, I still spent $30,000, and I still struggled the entire way. And likewise for her, while she wasn't in the legal field, she had a very strong financial background, and when she went through her divorce, she found, too, how challenging it was because of all of the unknowns and really the true lack of support when you're going through that process. Yeah, there's marriage counselors out there, but they don't truly know the fundamental basics of divorce. So we got together, and I've always been passionate about empowering people to be their best selves. And even in this situation, we knew how important it is to get through to the other side, still standing up and still needing to lead your family and still needing to connect with your ex-spouse. We really are focused on helping the connectivity of the family unit stay together. So when we came together, we said we have to help clients. And we found out that actually our greater good is an online course we created. It's 10 lessons. So if a person going through divorce takes this course, it helps them understand exactly what we're trying to impart, as you could say. It really breaks down, what is separation, what is marital property, what is non-marital property, how to talk to an attorney, how to communicate with an attorney, how is custody looked at? What is alimony? What are the 4 ways to get divorced? It's 2.5 hours of just basic, fundamental information that most people would Google, but we've put it all together in one package think we also have 15 worksheets and guidelines. We help them through their budgets and things like that.
It sounds like an awesome resource for people who are struggling through this process and procedure. And in talking about struggles of your customer, can you tell us about your struggles with starting your own business?
Yes. Well, when we started, and I'm sure a lot of other entrepreneurs, new business owners go through this, you have 1,000 ideas, and focusing on a couple and then branching out has been our greatest struggle because we want to do everything every day. And so we quickly found ourselves overwhelmed in what we call doing our business instead of running our business. And so we have had to take a couple steps back, refocus, and set a plan and then move ahead because we quickly got submerged in the doing and all that was coming at us because a service like this obviously grabs a ton of attention from professionals as well as clients as well as the media. So responding to all of that effectively has really been one of our greatest challenges. We even have attorneys now saying, you've got to go see Catherine and Karen and then come back to me so we can work together more effectively. So it's really caught on. We have employers wanting to buy the course for their employees. We're asked constantly to come do workshops. So that is truly our biggest challenge.
So as far as focus goes, because, again, you can have a broad focus or a very narrow focus, who really are your customers? I mean, talk to us a little bit about your market and the strategy behind that.
Our customers are currently women and men going through the divorce process. But in doing that, our larger purpose, meaning getting the word out, I guess that would be our second line of customers. So our customers are many, many different.
Well, I'd like to kind of refer to that as like your distribution channel.
Okay, like that.
Yep. So in getting in tune to that focus, who are the various distribution channels? How are the customers in the market coming to you?
Word of mouth at this point. We have a pretty
Can you define that for us? Because it's a buzzword, and how does that word of mouth, that grapevine, get to you?
Okay, so again, on a couple of different channels, as you say. So our clients will go tell their friends, go tell their relatives, and then it goes out from there. Employers will send their employees. When we do workshop, people will walk away and go tell their friends. We have a program starting up at the Y, and just in developing that program, word has gotten out. We had an article done on us back in October, and that got picked up across the nation. So we have calls from every state in the USA.
Now, was that a local or a statewide publication? And tell us how you actually were able to get into that publication and then get traction from it.
It was Bucks County Courier-Times, and they do a segment on new businesses. So they called us, and they wanted to do an interview, and, of course, we acquiesced, and it just went from there. We spent about an hour on the phone with them telling them what we're doing, and, they wrote an article. It was called Women Helping Women, and it just took off from there.
And we're going to actually have a link on the show notes to that article. And for those who are listening outside the Bucks County, Pennsylvania area, that's a local county here and a well-known paper in the locality.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Yeah, no, super. And so then, did that then get picked up by other media? Is that how in terms of the reach?
Yes, that's exactly. The Washington Post, Jackson Hole. There were like 35 publications across the nation that picked it up.
Was that you taking the article and going directly to them, or can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I know that there's a lot of business owners out there who are looking to get that type of media attention, and they want to know how to go from step A to step B to step C. And so by taking our audience through that process, I think that would be most helpful to them.
Sure. Well, we actually didn't know that it got picked up until we subscribed to Google Alerts shortly after that because we were waiting for it to go live, the article, after they interviewed us. And then
another free resource is definitely Google Alerts. And also actually Google Trends as well, from a marketing and sales perspective. I don't know if you've ever used Google Trends, which actually gets into telling you a little bit about your own topic. So, for example, your topic being divorce in this particular instance, and the different words, for example, that people search could actually use Google Trends. For the other members of the audience, they could also use not only Google Alerts, but Google Trends as well.
Wow, that's fantastic news for me, too.
Absolutely. Well, that's what the show's all about. You know what I mean, Karen?
Great. That's excellent. So the Associated Press picked it up, and that's how it got distributed across the nation. We did nothing to help that happen.
Wow.
Several other divorce communities picked it up. Many law firms picked it up and put it on their website. Some happy about it, some not happy about it. However, we think any press is good press, and sometimes people just need to be educated as to what we do. So we really do reach out and try to help people understand that we're not competing with anybody. We're an ally to any resource in the divorce industry.
Let me talk to you a little bit about the distribution channel of other law firms. I know that you currently are the manager and operate a local law firm here in the Montgomery County, Bucks County area here in Pennsylvania. And so knowing that and working with other law firms, how do you keep that separate in terms of them referring business to you, knowing that, let's say, you're working for not as an attorney, but as a manager and as an administrator, as an operator in terms of, getting referrals and working in that regard?
Sure, absolutely. I resigned from the law firm at the end of December 2016. So I've been full-time with Divorce Youth Solutions since then, of course, with my other small business. I have a couple other small businesses, but I worked part-time with the law firm for the year of 2016, transitioning out because I had been there for 30 years. My entire working career had been there.
How's it been with the transition? Because you're wearing a manager's hat and an operations and an administrative hat, working, and we could talk a little bit about what it takes to actually do that at a law firm after so many years, 30 years, and transitioning into your own business. How has that transition been for you?
Well, on so many levels, exhilarating and enormously challenging. So when I started at the law firm back in 1986, we were still typing everything on typewriters.
Wow.
So every piece of software was developed. I had a hand in developing. So forward 30 years later, and handing that baton to someone else was quite a challenge. So the first step was stepping back, going part-time, and handing the baton to those people in the organization who could do those specific jobs very well. So kind of training in-house, and then we brought in another firm administrator because what had happened over the 30 years was, and I think it happens a lot in a small firm, you have the one-all, be-all. Mm-hmm. So that was not a healthy situation for the law firm.
Correct.
So we did, bring in people from the inside, and that was just a great experience because every one of those employees felt more empowered. They felt more a part of the process, more a part of the success of the law firm. So that was great all in and of itself. And then we hired the firm administrator, and I'm still doing some consulting there, still bringing her up to speed. We do it in bite-sized chunks now. But I think it's going well. I think they're doing well. I'm so happy I took the year to transition out. It's not something you could do in 2 weeks' notice. So, it's worked out well, but I'm really glad we took the path that we took to involve other people in the law firm before we handed the baton to another professional.
If you're comfortable with talking about some of the numbers, because I know that the audience is interested in this because obviously they're working on their own figures and revenue and numbers, and so it's helpful to them to understand and appreciate where you're coming from. So how do you get paid at the end of the day? How are you charging the client? How are you incenting those in terms of referrals, since you're not a law firm and you could probably get referrals from whether it be attorneys and pay them or maybe non-attorneys? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. Our current hourly rate is $190 an hour. We even charge for initial consultation because we feel that our consultation on the front end sometimes is all that anyone needs even to propel themselves to the next step with clarity. So when someone calls in our office, I let them know without a doubt that when you leave our office, you will know where you are in the divorce process because so many people don't even know that. They don't know if they're ready to leave, if they should have left yesterday, or if they need to wait till tomorrow. So we help them know where they are in the divorce process. Sometimes they need an attorney immediately. Sometimes they need to get their affairs in order. So we want them to know where they are. We want them to know what their options are. And we want them to feel really good about the very next step they're going to take. So we feel that value is extraordinary. From there, we charge $190 an hour. We are quickly developing flat fee, or I don't want to say flat fee. We're developing packages so that our clients don't have to be a part of the billable hour, and I'm losing a word there, because we really want to help them demystify the process. We know that billable hour really becomes an obstacle as you continue to work together, because if I make a call to Karen and Catherine, to an attorney, to anybody on the billable hour, the first thing in your head is it worth my call? And we want them to know that if you call us, you're not on the clock. So we think it's really important that we develop a package of sorts that's not the billable hour.
In terms of, most of the average people out there, when they hear billable hour, they think of an attorney, a lawyer, a law firm. And so it's one method in terms of charging, and I know that you had indicated about a flat fee. What are you doing to make sure that obviously the advice that you're giving is more business advice? Obviously it's not legal advice. And then some of the other programs that you're offering, like you had mentioned the workshops, how are you charging for that? And what are you providing, for a flat fee or the hourly fee in terms of, making sure that the client or the customer knows what it is that they're actually paying for up front? Okay.
Yes. So when we're developing the flat fee, we'll have the discussion about how far we want to get for a certain amount in the consulting world. So, this is your situation. Let's work to get to this point, and, we'll charge this amount so that we're all working together. So that's how we would approach it from the consulting perspective. For the workshops, they either pay for a ticket to come to the workshop, and typically the companies that hire us, they set the price for that, and they just hire us as a speaker, and they charge whatever ticket price they want to charge. So
have you gone out then and done presentations where they're obviously paying you as a presenter versus in terms of you creating an event yourselves? Yes, absolutely. So the YMCA is developing a pathway program completely based on our divorce online course. So they will just be paying us a speaker fee versus whatever they're charging the end user. We've negotiated that, and it's worth our time then to go in for 2-3 hour sessions, and that they pay for that. They pay us for that, and then would that be similar to an hourly rate that you normally would get for a client, or is that obviously akin to a lot more? If, for example, my group wanted to hire you to come in and talk to them for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, you know what I mean, in terms of what the hourly rate would actually be versus charging per client who's using your materials? Our speaker fee is more than an hourly rate fee. You're reaching more of an audience, and it's really another level of expertise. So, sure. When we're first going in, we may charge a little bit less of a fee so that we can create the relationship, but then moving forward, we know what we need to make from a revenue basis to go out and speak, because it's not a client coming to you and you're not in the rhythm of a day. You're preparing, you're driving, you're setting up, you're taking down, and sure. It's a whole different ball game
for that.
We talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about their digital assets, their digital products. Obviously you want to basically create sometimes a virtual company so that you can have many people downloading your product so that you don't have to physically be there. So right now, if I actually went to your site, and we'll get the links to everything in the show notes and at the end of the show, but if the audience members actually came and wanted to physically download your course, A, can they do that? And B, what does that actually cost them today?
Yes, the online course is right on our website. You can go on, there's a complete sales page that you read about it, and you sign up for the course, download it right there. And throughout the course, you have access to Catherine and myself. If you have specific questions or if you miss something, you can download excerpts from the course because we do ask a lot of questions. We give you a lot of information. So all of the PDFs are downloadable as well. The course sells for $497, but currently there's a $100 coupon there, so you can purchase it for $397. And we say for the time you would spend paying an attorney 2 hours of work or maybe even 1 hour of work, you can take this course and be so much further down the road than just calling the attorney. And when our mantra of sorts is, letting people know the first step in divorce is not a call to your attorney. The first step is knowing where you are, what your options are, and kind of getting the lay of the land. So while attorneys are very critical and important parts of the process, if you don't know what you're doing when you call them, sometimes you're just kind of lost in the process, and they can't help you if you can't help yourself. And we want people to be able to help themselves.
We began, that's excellent. We began talking about the distribution channel of working with other law firms, and obviously the fact that you've now transitioned from the firm and leaving in December, that makes a lot more sense, in terms of incenting other firms to refer to you. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because not only word of mouth, but working with the professionals, not only in the community, but throughout the state, et cetera. How have you been doing that? And can you talk to us your top three referring sources? I'm sure attorneys are one of them.
Yes. Well, attorneys are not in the top three.
Interesting. Okay.
No.
Is that right? So can you tell us a little bit about who those people are that are actually referring you business and how you work in incenting those partners with you?
Sure. So before we go there, as to referral fees, we will not take a referral fee from anyone, nor will we share one with someone because we think that creates a conflict for the client. So it could easily get into a situation where someone would refer to us, we would refer to them based on the dollar of the feedback, and we want to advocate for our clients' needs. And so to keep that as pure as possible, we don't do the referral fee. We just feel
I think that's not that I would give you any legal advice, nor would you actually need that from me, but I think that's pretty wise.
Maybe I would.
I was going to say that's probably very wise, and I'm sure you had very good counsel back at the firm regarding that. So that's good to know, because you want someone who's obviously unbiased and someone who's obviously looking out for you, and you don't want there, even if there isn't, you don't want there to be the perception. They say that possession is 9/10 of the law. I like to say that perception is 9/10 of the law. And so anyway, that's my philosophy there.
Even one step further, Catherine gave up all of her FINRA licenses. She's a financial planner, so that, again, she would have there would never be anything going on that she would advise a client a certain way about their money that would make it seem like she wanted to invest their money. So she
says a lot about you ladies, and it also says a lot about how you're positioning the company.
Correct, yeah. Well, that's one of the main reasons I decided to go into business with her, because she did that, and I felt like, all right, we can do something with this then. So back for Earlsurf. Yeah.
That's great. Not only do you want to work with people who have excellent products, but you want to work with people who have the highest values and morals and ethics. And I think for a group that actually is doing what it is that you're doing, I think that says volumes right there. So I wanted to stress that to the audience, because someone goes ahead and starts doing things like that, it's starting to look like that's what you're doing, and you're advocating for your clients. You're not having any perceptions of impropriety propriety. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and we need to make money as well as anyone else. We just want to make sure we're being true to our clients.
Exactly. No, I think that it's a win-win-win all the way around. Karen, what's the best business advice you've ever received?
For me personally, with my personality, the best business advice is stay back, stay focused, take one step at a time. And for an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can relate to this. We tend to have 8,000 ideas, and we're trying to strike at all of them all day long. And our best approach truly is to stay focused on the end goal and keep moving ahead and let your ideas be there, but put them into the bigger plan. So that I get that advice anytime I ask for business advice. Anyone who knows me will tell me to make sure you're slowed down and you're focused and you know very clear where you want to end up. And that, for me, is a challenge every day, but it's also a focus for me every day.
That's great. We talked a little bit about your startup. We talked a little bit about the law firm. Can you take us back a little bit earlier to your personal story in terms of how you actually got started professionally? Because know that it's about business and work, but it's also about family and life and about a balance. Mm-hmm. And this kind of tells us a little bit about who you are personally and gets into your own story from an earlier perspective.
Sure. So I graduated college in Pensacola, Florida in 1986. I've moved to Pennsylvania. My fiance lived here then, Bucks County, and I came to visit him, had my resume in hand. The law firm, it was Weber and Barbanel at the time, had an ad in the Percy News Herald. I walked into their office, laid my resume on the table. For whatever reason, they interviewed me immediately and hired me on the spot for $3.35 or whatever the minimum wage was at the time.
That's great. That's super.
That's where I started.
That's great. And you were there for 30 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was there for my first marriage, my kids, my divorce, my second marriage, my entire life. My entire career, my entire adult life was spent at the firm. So obviously they were my family and my complete support system for so long.
So what do you tell these college students who are for the first time in school looking for those internships, trying to get out, trying to start up, whether it's a career as a professional or doing that and then starting something up on the side? What is your recommendation to them?
Oh, I love this question because so many students come to me and, they're so confused. I have two millennials myself. I have a 28-year-old and a 25-year-old. So my advice
Wow, you have a 28-year-old and a 25-year-old and you're doing all of this.
I do.
It's like how do you balance it? And before the call, you told me that you have a 13-year-old. I mean, how do you do all that?
Well, I'm not sure that balance is a part of our society anymore. I really don't. I really don't think you can separate work and family. I think it's all one big, not a job, but it's all intermingled and commingled together.
But do the kids get it? Because if you're at home, for example, and you're on your laptop, a child doesn't know that even though you're physically there, they see that you're only on your laptop doing your work. So, I wonder if they appreciate at such a young age. Do they appreciate that?
Yes, and I think communication is the key there. So for me and my kids, they know that I'm passionate about what I do. I've always been that way. But likewise, I know that my kids are not going to do what I say. They're going to do what I do. So they're going to follow in my footsteps. If I want them to do something different, I have to change my behavior. So my approach to all of it is, and I'm not perfect at it, none of us are, but I tell them, look, if you need me, if you need my time, let me know. I will always be there for you. But don't expect to call me on a dime and I'm going to drop everything because you sprained your right finger. So I say that because that empowers them to be independent, but knowing that I'm always there for them the moment they need me, if they truly need me. There are sometimes they think they need me, but by the time I get back to them, they've already resolved their issue.
Gotcha.
And then the second layer of that is we have consistent times that they can always count on me to be there for them. So, for instance, I take my son snowboarding every Wednesday night, and I have those special times with every one of my kids where they know it's their time with me. We catch up. I find 1,000 reasons to have them with me in the car when we're traveling. My older kids aren't with me anymore. But, I really do try to find those times that we can just be hanging out at night, making sure we say goodnight every night, and just having those consistent times where they know that they're touching me and I'm touching them. And if I'm on my laptop and a computer, they need me, they know how to get me. But they also know that my work is important just as their life is important, and we all have to respect that.
That's great. And, one of those great quotes that I heard you say is, don't do what I say, do what I do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's great. That's terrific.
For those millennials, I still would like to answer that question because that's
go for it.
Huge. I think they have coming at them all the time. This is where the opportunities are in the industry. So whatever it may be, whether it's computer science or nursing or whatever, and they think they have to respond to the industry because that's where the opportunities are. And my advice to them, without fail, is you always must know what's in your heart. So every day connect with that. Every day find a happy, even if it's only 10 moments, you never lose your passion. And if you need to do a job to make money, always make sure you're responding to your passion. And at some point, your passion, your ability to respond to your passion will be greater than your ability to respond to dollars in your pocket. Even though at the outset you may need to do that, obviously. But I want them to know that they don't have to give up their passion because it may not fit in the 10 best jobs to have this year or next year. And I think another challenge that they face is, there's no jobs out there, or the job I want, I have to have it all figured out. I may want to interview for this job, but I don't know if I'm good enough. I tell them to go for anything that looks even remotely interesting because you can always say no, you can always say yes. But if you don't try or if you don't respond to the opportunity, you don't have the opportunity to respond. So I think it's huge for millennials to not feel overwhelmed by what's coming at them now, but look at it more as an opportunity because one step can lead to another. And it may not be the perfect job, but maybe you want it, maybe you don't.
That's terrific. How inspiring to the younger generation you are, and that's really terrific. Not that one of the other businesses that you're also involved with is Per Diem Space LLC, and so tell us about that, and take us through from starting that to where you are now with that, and how you find the time to also do that as well.
Well, that goes to your passion. So I never forgot my passion of really wanting to help people be their best self. So everything I do, it just kind of revolves around that. So it's just easy for me. So even at Divorce You, it's helping you be your best self through divorce. At Per Diem, it's all about being an incubator for small businesses. So, again, people who are starting up their business, there's so much to know, there's so much to do, there's so much help that you need. So we bring small businesses in. We have co-working space, we have private office space, we have meeting space, conference room space. And we have workshops, and we're a full-service office there, any office supply you would need. So we want anybody that's starting a small business, you can come in and you can develop your business there and then move out into the community where you can have your own space. But, you have had that opportunity to go through the incubator of sorts. So it's been phenomenal. I had it.
You know, it's interesting. We talk to our young entrepreneurs about the different resources that are available to them. So in terms of it being affordable for not only young startups, but again, you know, people who are just starting out or transitioning or what have you, you know, how do you charge, and what are all the different solutions that are being provided there? I mean, what do you, besides providing the space and some of the workshops, how do you charge? And, you know, maybe talk to us a little bit about that, because I think that would be very interesting.
Sure. You can rent a desk by the hour, or you can rent it by the day. By the day is only $20. Everything is truly affordable. And our philosophy at Per Diem Space is whatever a small business needs, our response is yes. We will go find that resource for you. We will respond to your need. We will make it happen for you. So we talk about their budget, and, you know, maybe they can only rent the desk for 3 days, and we help their budget work the best for them, and then they come in, and then they can grow from there. But, you know, you can rent by the hour, you can rent by the day, you can rent by the week, you can rent by the month.
Are these mostly entrepreneurs locally in your Bucks County, Montgomery County area? I mean, are you replicating this particular idea in other locations so that it's more readily accessible to others? Because the concept and the idea is a great one. In terms of how you charge and in terms of getting people from other areas and other locations, is this idea replicated in other locations so that other young entrepreneurs and people that want to, you know, take advantage of the way that you charge and your philosophy in going out and finding someone to provide for that solution is coming to an area closer to them?
We hope so, but right now we have just started it in Upper Bucks County. We've only been up and running since October. And again, it has taken off. So I have 2 other business partners in that business. We have quite a few employees because young businesses want so much to be a part of it. So we're allowing employment opportunities there too, just to get their sea legs and so forth.
What's been your numbers in terms of people coming through and in terms of attracting people coming from, let's say, even a little bit outside that area, you know, in terms of if they're willing to kind of, you know, they're using the space obviously as a convenience. So again, you're starting it more locally, which obviously I appreciate, but can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, the workshops would be beneficial for anyone who would want to drive to get to them. We also,
and so a live workshop on a particular topic. Tell us all the various different topics, and what do you charge for that, and how do you get the speakers, and tell us a little bit about your business model.
Okay, so for the workshop, we are currently running 2 6-series workshops we're 2 in now, so from March until May. And the first series is about establishing who you are, establishing your brand, creating a strategy, and that's all done by Power Marketing. It's a company that really focuses on that, and they did all of the business building and branding for another local business here in Percy, Modern Mail. So we can all look at that local business and say, yes, I want to do something like that. So
and what's the name of that company?
Power Marketing.
Yeah, I'll have all the links to that in the show notes as well. You know, anything that we're talking about. Yep.
Great. And the second 6 series is all local businesses. So we want any new startup to know all of the resources around them that's available to them. So that will be social media, how to take a picture of yourself with your cell phone that's appropriate for social media as a business person. Another one is how to read financial documents, you know, your P&L, your balance sheet. What do those mean to your business? Another one is how to run QuickBooks, and this is just this first 6-part series. Another one is an attorney and accountant coming in talking about what specific entity is best for you, whether it be an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp or whatever, and why, and what are the tax consequences of that. Trying to think of what the other ones are off the top of my head. But
and if we actually go to Per Diem Space on the website, do you have all of these workshops listed there in terms of registering for them and what the costs actually are for each different one?
It's all there, and we're also on Facebook, very active on Facebook. And if we have coupon codes, if we need to fill seats at the last minute, we'll typically have a coupon code on Facebook for that too, because we do want to fill the class and expose businesses to as much opportunity as we can. So the model is bringing in other local businesses to support the up-and-coming businesses, everyone working together.
There's so much that you're involved with that I could probably spend an entire interview on just any one of these things. And so real quickly, not only do I want to talk to you quickly about some of your local involvements with some nonprofits that you're involved with, and we'll get to that real fast, but at the end of this interview, I did want to ask you some of the lessons that you learned from running for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Tell us about that experience.
That was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever been through in my entire life. It was very hard, but I grew so much in that year of running. I can't even tell you. I loved going door to door. I loved connecting with the people. I learned how to raise a ton of money, and I knew what that meant. I also learned how to get up in front of people and shoot from the hip and speak and debate. And I'm going to tell you, I was not good at it. But it didn't matter because to me it was just part of the learning curve of Karen Chellew. And if I could tell any other, this is business advice here again, don't be afraid. So you're not going to get it perfect. So you may not be perfect the entire running that particular project. It doesn't matter because you're growing and you're learning. You do as much as you can, and if it's something you're passionate about, stand up and do it, and it will get you to your next step. And, I just had the most rewarding experience. I ran as a Democrat, and the reason I did is because we're so, in this area, it's very largely Republican.
Yes.
And I wanted people to understand that local politics are not party related. And I really wanted people to understand what local politics meant to their personal life. What does the school board mean to you? What does borough council mean to you? And 40% of my volunteers were Republicans, so I had a lot of local support. And I feel like I was successful because I started the language of what does politics mean to our community beyond the division of the parties. So anytime someone's running, I hop on board and I help them just because I think for local politics, we can really help people understand that we can work together without it being about the R's and the D's, as we say.
No, I think that's terrific. Like I said, I've had clients, on both sides, and I've helped, a local senator here with his house run on this finance committee, and now he's in the Senate, and so I really appreciate what it is that you're saying. And so what I'm hearing from you, though, is that even though everybody's focused on winning, and don't get me wrong, in business, you want to win, you want to do the best that you can, but it sounds as if you got so much more than that out of this particular experience, and there's so many more lessons for entrepreneurs, business startups to sort of gain from what it is that you kind of went through.
Absolutely. And getting involved with your community on that level, even as a business owner, I know it may not seem synonymous, but you understand where the people are coming from, you understand their needs, and you understand their language and what they're looking for. So from a business perspective, you can even respond to it because you were at their door and you heard about a day in their life and their challenges and their struggles. And that is one of the reasons I started the nonprofit and the per diem spaces. The need is so great. Everyone feels isolated. So, yeah, it was a great experience.
Karen, two other quick groups that you're involved with before we wrap up here at the end. It's about business, it's about family, and it's about, obviously, community involvement as well. We just talked about you running for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. You're involved with a nonprofit, Sisters U, and you're also an auditor for a local municipality. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that involvement and how you find the extra hour in the day to do that?
Sure. So I founded Sisters U in 2011 with another partner and without a business plan. I'm sure you've probably seen that as one of my highest challenges as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
But we put it out on Facebook back in 2011. 75 women showed up. So, again, we hit a nerve there. And Sisters U has no agenda in and of itself other than to empower the individual. So we say when you come to Sisters U, we have speakers, we have all kinds of different events to support anyone's interest, but our focus is what are you about, where is your passion, and how can we support that passion? So it's very different. It's very unique. A lot of people don't understand it until they actually come and experience it. It's very positive. We're not a support group. We're not men haters, nothing like that. But again, you know, our mission is to empower and support the individual to be their best selves and really to create the community for you, whatever that is. And for every single person, it's different.
That's great.
So,
And you're all that sounds terrific, and we're gonna link to that as well because again, you know, I mean, I have 2 young girls. It's nice that there's an organization that obviously does that and has that mission in mind. And as far as being an auditor, then for the local municipality, I mean, you know, obviously you have your hand in a lot of different things here. You know, how'd you get involved with that? And quickly tell us about that.
Sure. So I got involved with that after my race for state rep, just to stay involved in local politics because it's so rewarding, and I feel for any citizen of a community, they should be, or they would benefit from participating in some form of local politics, whatever it may be. You know, maybe you only want to do an hour a month, but having that exposure and having that ability to really know the foundation of your community is just important. And so for me, it was auditor of the township because it allows me to know more about what's going on and then what the township needs. So it's auditor of East Rockwell Township. We meet once or twice a year because they have a professional accountant audit their books. The elected officials just go in and review the documents the accountants provide and just kind of talk about what's going on and what things need to be changed or looked at differently. And then
that's great. We've talked about so many different resources. Just 3 quick ones that I wanted to ask you specifically about that you can provide to the audience. In terms of books, you know, I love books, you know, business books, inspirational books, motivational books. What one book can you recommend to the audience that you really enjoy and that's kind of helped you?
Wow, there's so many.
I know there are. And I'm only asking for one.
I know. But, you know, I want to go back to the most recent one I read, and I think the book that I keep going back to is The 4 Agreements. That book keeps me in focus in whatever I do, and I know that book is a little bit more spiritual and not as much business-oriented, but I truly think, again, if you stay true to who you are and your passions and you can stay focused on being true to yourself, you cannot help but succeed in anything you do and anything you touch. So
perfect.
That book, it's really small. It's such a quick read, but it's
great.
Really a good focus.
Soon as I come off the phone with you, I'm probably going to be looking it up soon. So that's really great, and I'll definitely have a link to that as well. Good. You know, with not only your businesses to obviously get startups, you know, up and running, you know, they need a presence online, and so there's so many different hosting companies out there. Who have you found to be a really good one, or something that you can recommend? For
a website hosting company?
Yep, exactly.
Well,
I mean, who do you work with? Who do you use?
Well, for Sisters U, we use volunteers, but the company, I'm not sure I'm getting your question right. So Bluehost, is that?
Yes, I know Bluehost very well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bluehost is what I use for all.
I use one of their sister companies, HostGator. So Bluehost is very, very good. Yeah, no, I just was curious. And then the other thing, and you mentioned it during the interview, so I wanted to come back to it, and that is graphic design. You know, a lot of people can't, hire their own graphic designer, or they're doing social media and they need to sort of create blog posts and the like. What resource do you recommend in that regard?
Well, we have a couple available at Per Diem. Per Diem has made connections with so many different local providers. So according to what a business needs, we have several different graphics design, marketing companies, any kind of company really, to help them. So for me to recommend one graphic designer would not be true to what we do, because we believe every single business has their own unique needs. So we'll give them resources, and then they can go out and make that individual connection. Because while referrals are good, while a website presence is good in social media, I believe the individual connection is more powerful. So they have to connect with them, one-on-one. So
that's
put
fine.
one out there.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
And that's my approach as well. In other words, we've had graphic designers on that we've interviewed. However, I think showing people, a number of different choices and saying these are the pros and cons, depending upon what they're looking for.
Yeah. From so many different perspectives, and some it's going to speak to you and some is not. So
sure.
It's important.
And three main takeaways that we could take away from the interview today, and then how people can stay in contact with you, that would be super.
Mm-hmm. 3 takeaways. Well, first takeaway, first and foremost, always be true to yourself. Always be aware of what makes you happy when you get up in the morning. Find you're happy every single day. Second, don't be afraid to fall flat on your face, because you can always get up again, and tomorrow or even after lunch is always a new day and a new half a day. You just got to keep moving ahead. The third takeaway is never give up, but maybe that's the same as my second takeaway.
No, I liked all 3 of them, never Karen. Really, I did.
Never give up.
And I think people are going to hear your personality and who you are as a person coming loud and clear through this interview. And I know how appreciative and thankful I am that I had you on. How are people going to stay in contact? Yes. How are people going to stay in contact with you?
Well, they can I have many email addresses, but they all go to the same place.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's
like all the roads go down to the same path.
They do.
Yes, I realize that. So what's the one good email? What's the one good email? And I'll be able to link it all up there.
Sure. Karen at sisters, plural, the letter U.com. So Karen at sistersu.com is a really good email for me. Okay,
that's great. And I'll have all the other links to all your other businesses and whatnot back at the website. Karen, this has been excellent. I really enjoyed our interview today, and I'm really excited that you came on, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about what's been going on with all your businesses as we continue to keep in contact with you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
You take care.
Great, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Certainly. You take care now. Be good.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
In closing, let me ask for my listeners' help. First, please subscribe to my email list at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. You will get all the full interview transcripts, my ebook, 30 Tools to Start Up, where I talk about these free resources in show 006. You'll get the startup checklist, education and training materials, and other resources just by signing up at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. Back at mitchellchadrow.com/signup, help me boost the rankings of the Listenup Show, the Startup Entrepreneur Podcast, by providing a well-written review in iTunes. mitchellchadrow.com/iTunes. It helps other people find the show. If you actually need instructions on how to do this, you can find that back at mitchellchadrow.com/signup. Thank you so much for subscribing to my email list and providing a written review on iTunes. Until next time.